I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Declaration of potential conflict of interest. Celeste?
None.
Mike?
None, thank you.
None for myself, and we'll catch Sue when she gets here. Recognition of the SEPRD Employees of the Month. We have Courtney Tibbetts for June and Holly Main for July. Nope, they didn't come. Hopefully they're watching from home. For June, I am excited to learn that Courtney Tibbetts was selected as Employee of the Month for June. Courtney joined SEPRD in the fall of 2020 with an extensive background working for a government entity in the areas of building maintenance, sports field maintenance, construction, and water treatment. He brings a level of detail and efficiency that aligns with the maintenance department's mission. This recognition is a testament of Courtney's professionalism while paying homage to his abilities to provide a safe place for all to recreate in. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to many more years working alongside you as you assist the district in providing facilities so the entire community can engage in play. And the Holly has worked for the district for 3 years. She has been a wonderful employee, providing exemplary customer service to our Sunset Pool patrons. Holly has adapted well to all the COVID challenges that the year has thrown at her and does it all with a happy attitude and jokes for all of her coworkers. Thank you, Holly, and thank you, Courtney. Moving right along to approval of board meeting minutes from May 25th and June 8th.
I have reviewed those minutes, and I suggest that we adopt the minutes for May 25th and June the 8th.
Sue, have you had a chance to review the minutes? Yep. Fabulous. Do you have any conflict of interest tonight? Perfect. Erica is out today. So we have a motion on the table to approve the board meeting minutes from May 25th and the meeting minutes from June 8th. Celeste seconds. All in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. Celeste?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Can you?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Public comment rules of decorum.
In advance of the public comment period, the Board of Directors wishes to extend a thank you to citizens who participate in providing feedback to the district. It is an important goal of SEPRD's public meetings to encourage discourse and engagement from our community. It is important we hear the voices and concerns of citizens in order to best serve them. However, it is also imperative we maintain a respectful and productive environment that allows all voices to be heard. Each speaker is allocated 3 minutes to speak. The first speaker is invited to approach the podium. So we don't have anybody on the speaker sign-in, but John, you signed in on the attendance sign-in. Did you want to offer public comment? Okay.
No, it's on, I guess. One of the things that I did in my sordid past is that I spent 5 years on a volunteer fire department. And I learned a few things there. Most fire departments in this country do an extraordinary job of taking care of their equipment. I remember coming in from fire calls at 2:33 in the morning. Well, first of all, you got to reload the truck. All the hose that you've used got to get hung in the hose tower, and new hose put on the truck. Any equipment used got to be replaced. But then you know what we had to do at 4 o'clock, when most of us had already missed a better part of a night's sleep? We washed the truck from stem to stern. And why was that? We wanted to show the taxpayers that we appreciated what they'd given us and that we were taking care of what they'd given us. And you know what? Whenever we went back to the taxpayers and asked for more, They were very willing to give it because they saw that we took very good care of what we had. This is a lesson that you haven't learned here. You've got a wonderful pool building that the taxpayers have given you that looks like hell, that needs to be cleaned, obviously has not been cleaned in years. Well, what happened last time you went to the taxpayers and asked for more? They said no. Do you think it might have had to do with how you cared for what you have now? I would bet it does. Try taking care of what you have. I've heard all kinds of excuses. Fact is, the building looks awful. You all know it looks awful. And there's no reason that it can't get pressure washed and cleaned. Take care of what you have. I haven't seen it yet in all of the boards that I've seen here. It needs to start.
Anybody else?
I was the only person listed. I'm not sure if there's others, though.
Correspondence.
Yeah, we included one item of correspondence in the packet addressed to staff as well as the board regarding renewing our services for our public accountants, our auditing firm, Kernan Thompson. We signed a 3-year agreement with them. We have the option of discontinuing that agreement, but it's a position of staff that we were pleased with the experience, and that was sort of the impression that I got from the board as well. So this just outlines a little bit of the timeline and assurances provided as we move forward into the second year of that 3-year agreement.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job for us last year.
Do they intend to bill us monthly? I got a sense from that letter that they intend to bill us frequently and expect payment before they actually complete the contract. So,
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how they billed us last year, but it was typically in line with the services rendered, hours accumulated, then they bill us for those hours. I know this year they're hoping to start the audit process much earlier than they did last year because of COVID and other challenges. I think they're actually going to be starting to work on the audit as early as this week. So we
Great.
should have the audit in hand sooner, and I think the process, now that we've been a year with them and understand each other a little bit better, it'll work a lot more efficiently.
You said this was year 2 of 3 that we're currently in the current contract?
Correct.
Marcus, did you feel like it went well? Thank you. Supplemental budget. We are now opening for public comment regarding the supplemental budget. If anybody would like to offer public comment on the budget. We are closing for comment on the budget. You didn't have approval of the budget, but I assume we need to approve it.
supplemental one.
Yeah, so we will need to approve it, and we'll need to adopt the resolution number 2020-21-06, which I think you all have a copy of, and that includes reading
The whole thing.
the whole thing, yeah. But I'm not sure if there's any questions beforehand.
Yeah.
I think we
Does-
explained the need for this supplemental budget at our last meeting. It's pretty straightforward, but makes some kind of last opportunity adjustments, as well as provides space in the budget for us to use the summer camp grant that we received by the end of the fiscal year, which is coming up quick.
Any questions from the board on the supplemental?
No, that's for this year,
Right.
correct? No, I don't have any questions. I see where someone has to read this in its entirety in order to be adopted.
Yes, they do. And
The magnifying glass.
it's not me.
Yeah, it needs to be read.
So which needs to be read? Is it
The
supplemental
resolution number 2020-2021-06.
Page 17, I assume.
Yeah,
So,
I can read it.
Skylar also provided a
yeah,
printed.
it's actually, I think you want to read the loose one that was just set on your table, and that way we make sure that's
Gotcha.
the one that we need to have read in.
Okay, so we're making a motion to adopt resolution number 2020-2021-06, titled Adopting the Budget. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District hereby adopts the supplemental budget for fiscal year 2020 to 2021 in the total amount of $3,922,723. The need for this supplemental is as a result of the acquisition of additional property that has generated a need for an additional fund to be developed. The purpose of the supplement is to allow expenses associated with the new fund and reallocation of existing category revenue and expenses to appropriately depict the need and projected outcomes as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. The budget is now on file at district offices 1140 Broadway in Seaside, Oregon. Making appropriations. Be it resolved that the amounts shown below are hereby appropriated for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020 for the following purposes. Under the general fund, administration services, $670,911, maintenance, $357,875, aquatic services, $536,459, recreation services, $107,304, youth program services, $469,140, community center services, $103,032, special event services, $78,522, debt service, $6,500, transfers, $311,443, contingency at zero, for a total of $2,641,187 in the general fund. In the park project fund, we have zero, total of zero, that encapsulates personnel, capital outlay, debt service, and contingency. Under the building additions fund, we have a total of zero that encapsulates personnel, capital outlay, debt service, and contingency. Under Sunset Recreation Center, we have personnel of zero, materials and supplies of $175,900, capital outlay of $18,642, debt service of $17,727, and a contingency of zero for a total of $212,269. Under the Broadway Field Fund, we have personnel at $12,886, materials and supplies at $13,514, capital outlay at zero, debt service at zero, and contingency at zero for a total of $26,400. Total appropriations, all funds, $2,879,856. Total unappropriated and reserve amounts, all funds, $1,042,867, for a total adopted budget of $3,922,723. Amounts shown are revised totals in those funds being modified.
I will second.
Do I have to read the
Do you have
bottom
to-
small portion?
Right at the line.
I don't think so. No, I don't think
There's-
so.
Oh, there,
The overall. That's what I was thinking. I think you're good, Celeste.
Okay.
Do we, who seconded? Mike, did you second?
I did.
Okay, so all in favor signify aye, opposed nay. Celeste?
Aye.
Sue? Aye. Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Supplemental budget carries. Okay. Review of the financials for May of 2021. Any questions from the board?
Thought we were doing pretty well on the revenue side on many things. So I just wanted to ask about, I think it's on the recreation center,
What page?
or the recreation page, 33. The community garden that is strictly for the sunset, the pool, the sunset garden? Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Oh, is it? Okay, thanks.
You said something?
It's for both gardens. Marcus corrected me.
Oh, for both gardens. Okay. So, but the funding from the gardens comes from, the railroad gardens comes from the foundation? Or does the foundation handle all of that? So is there ever a transfer from the foundation?
Yeah, the foundation is holding funds that were transferred a couple years ago from the nonprofit that was formed. What these funds, I think, are accounting for are the rental fees for the garden spaces at both gardens, the Railroad Garden and the Sunny Hunt Garden.
Right. Okay. Just wanted to clarify that. And I think I had one other one. I made a note of it. Oh, I was wondering, it's on the SRC page. I was wondering, I noticed for natural gas, have we not been billed for natural gas? Or is that $23,504? Is that an expressive payment that we paid for gas already this year?
So I believe, and Marcus, feel free to jump in, we have not yet been billed for natural gas.
So that's just a budgeted amount?
Yes, this is the budget amount, and it's based on our expectations from what the school district was paying?
No, that is.
Or is that what we've paid? Okay,
And then the supplemental,
Gas and
that
electric.
goes all in there because we didn't have that amount that we.
okay. So that is the amount that we've paid, Mike.
I'm sorry?
That's the amount that we've paid thus far.
Oh, that we paid.
For natural
that
gas.
far, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So we won't look forward to a budgeted amount until next year, next month.
Yes.
I was wondering about the insurance, because we went into the SRC, without knowing, we expected the insurance to be high. How soon will we be able to bring our insurance costs down, depending on improvements? And does our insurance, will it change if we consider a lease agreement?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I've been working with SDIS, our insurance provider, from the start on this, and they've shared some things that we can do to get the insurance costs lowered. My understanding, and I haven't asked them this question directly, but I can, is that as soon as some of those changes are made in regards to the building envelope and the structural integrity and some of the other current conditions of the building, then that insured amount can be modified pretty quickly. They've also been very helpful as we work through the lease agreement with Northwest Regional ESD, and are in support of it, and made some adjustments, or offered some feedback that adjustments needed to be made in a couple of areas, and we've made those adjustments in the agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions, Sue? I see your look.
I know. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to understand all this stuff. So on page, I'm sorry, the page number went, it's this one,
Okay, the summary sheet,
yes.
I think it's page
So
29.
it's in the 30s somewhere. So I just want to try to understand the Broadway Field Fund.
Uh-huh.
So the net of minus $10,851, weren't we supposed to spend $12,000 per year on that? Or is that how much was supposed to come in?
So if you look on that line, you'll see the revenue budget, which is what we were expecting to receive, was $26,400. We have received far less than that this year, but we probably have some partnership revenues that will be coming in for usage of the field this year. So I would expect that number to jump a little bit. Our expenses, we've spent that $11,278 number. We budgeted $26,400. You are correct. In the 2020-21 budget, we had budgeted $1,000 a month, but that budget was modified when we passed the supplemental budget a couple months ago. So this budget I think more accurately reflects our expenses.
Okay.
Having said that, we've spent less on the field than we were expecting, but
Right.
we were budgeting for the potential of a couple of projects or other maintenance things going on, and that just hasn't happened for a number of reasons.
So those are expected to, because as we open, it seems like this should be a busy place.
And it has been. I think the field is one area that's gotten a lot of use over the past few months, especially with the school season, the sports season being kind of condensed. And that's one of the other reasons why it's made it hard to conduct some of that maintenance, because there's been so much activity on the field, softball or baseball games, football, soccer games going on more frequently.
I did have another question. Got to find it. It's on, it's basically this building, and just, I had my hand on it before I moved. Okay, on page 35, just curious, you know, because aren't we supposed to have the new software now?
Yeah, so the new software is up and running. We have been using it for about 2 weeks now. Part of its functions on payroll and some other stuff. Marcus and Darren have led the way on that improvement, that change. There's some other elements to the software that will be rolled out over the next couple of months, including our point of sale software that probably won't be ready until I think September is the timeline that we're shooting for. But yeah, the software has been unveiled, and we're working with it now.
So my question isn't really about these numbers. It's more like when this audit happens in September, is the new software going to be there in place for that to? He's saying yes.
Sure. I think, yeah, that's probably something that Marcus has considered, making sure that we have access to everything that we need with the old software. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to have both softwares kind of running concurrently for a little while, just to make sure
Right.
we don't miss something, or something doesn't kind of
'Cause
slip between the cracks.
One of the things that I don't know, the Kearns and Thompson thingamajig that we read, I'm sure this is like a standard contract, right?
Yes.
Because there was a spot down on the bottom that it's like we're redoing all the work. But I imagine, I expect, because the city employs them, and I'm very grateful to have their expertise when we address our financial situation. So, I don't know where I read it now, but it just felt like, oh, wow, we do all the work, but that doesn't make sense to me, because they're putting their name on the line to support us. It was just someplace in here on the very bottom that it talked about how, you know, you're gonna supply us with everything, and you need to be above board and that kind of thing, and
Yeah.
like I said, I expect it's a form letter. It just was kind of, well, aren't you gonna help us figure out if something is awry that, you know, we don't see?
Well, typically, the audits that I've experienced, you know, they'll come in and they'll say, I need to see these items, these items, these items, and it's our job to provide them, and then they look through them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I guess
thought I marked it.
on the other side of that, Sue, though, they have been available and willing and offering to provide, you know, information, support. I know Marcus has asked them a few times over the last year about different questions that he might have, and as we acquired the building, there was a lot of questions about how to lay out that budget or that fund, and they were helpful for that. So I think, yeah, Catherine's right. They ask and we provide, but they are at the same time a resource for us.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions, Celeste? Do we have a motion to approve the financials?
Are we gonna do the check register?
If you would like to.
Yeah, I didn't really have any comments, it's just,
Any questions on the check register?
I was wondering, is Tyler Technologies, are they connected with our software?
That is the name of the software, yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I move then that we approve the financials, Catherine.
Second?
Celeste seconds. All in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. Celeste?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Adoption of the 2021-2022 SEPRD budget. Now opening for public comment regarding the 2021-2022 budget. Anybody like to offer public comment? Okay, closing public comment. Are there any questions from the board on the 2021-2022 budget that were not answered in the multiple budget meetings?
Well, we had a pretty rousing budget. Glad to see that we boiled it down to as few changes as these. And I really don't have any further questions.
Anybody else?
I do have a question.
Go ahead, Sue.
And okay, I know everyone worked really hard. I just am trying to understand how so many numbers got changed. And my only experience with this was last year, just totally new on the board, but it seemed like the group that did it, there was no, it was very much, here are the answers, here's the information, here are the answers, and it moved through, very smoothly. But again, that's my first time. But this time, we saw, some contention and that kind of thing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that numbers got switched around, and I'm not used to that. Does that happen often? Is that normal?
I think it can, and it's totally normal and healthy and within the provisions of how the budget committee is supposed to function. It was unusual in my experience as well, but I think it's attributable to a lot of different factors. We had just many moving parts, a lot of balls in the air at the same timing of the budget. When we proposed the budget, we weren't, we're still kind of working on the SRC in a lot of different ways and areas. And I think some of the numbers that got changed had to do with the SRC and the accounting for those. We also adopted a supplemental budget, I think either in March or April, which was right at the same time that we were putting the budget out. So that kind of made it challenging. And then I think just the uncertainty of the pandemic also kind of, can kind of cause some complications. So there was just a number of things I think that were going on. I guess from my perspective, yeah, it made it a little more exciting and challenging, but I think it's normal and it was appropriate discourse for the budget committee. I don't know if Marcus has other thoughts on it though.
Okay.
Anything?
Okay. It seemed to me some of the thinking on the budget committee were good in that we were looking ahead. It seemed like if we had adopted the budget as presented, that we would have ended up with a larger than necessary ending fund balance. So it was a good idea to allocate that money out so that our ending fund balance, which is, $500,000 what we're budgeting for now, that's plenty of money to get through until the taxes start coming in November. But we would have had way more than necessary sitting unallocated, more than likely if we hadn't done that. And I think that was all good.
Okay.
So I see that there's a memo in our packet about staff recommendations to adjustments to the FY 21-22 budget.
Correct.
I'm wondering if these are included in this budget, or is the ask of this for the board to make adjustments?
I believe they are included in this resolution and in the packet of information that you have.
It's dated June 11th, so I was,
Oh, okay.
And so my question is whether or not the board actually has authority to approve a budget that varies from what the budget committee approved, and/or whether this would have to be considered a supplementary.
Board does have authority to change the budget as submitted by the budget committee, and I believe that it actually did happen last year.
Yeah, it actually did. Sorry, I was just trying to refresh my brain, but yeah, I think that's accurate. So once the budget committee has approved the budget gets passed back into the authority of the board, the elected board, and they have the authority, just as they would to approve a supplemental, to adjust the budget. So these are just budget adjustments that staff is recommending.
And so, as I'm reading, the only adjustment to the ending fund balance would be a decrease of $100,000 to the capital fund, unappropriated capital fund ending balance. Am I reading that correctly?
It would change, so the unappropriated ending fund balance would be reduced by $100,000, and capital projects under that would increase by $100,000, and unrestricted funds, idle funds, so that we have not spent throughout the year. And so this would allow the board the opportunity, after having consultants either review those funds for necessary progression of that.
Which I believe was actually discussed during the budget committee process. There was some discussion about leaving funds flexible because the board cannot actually decrease, once the ending fund balances are set, we can't decrease them. So it provides us flexibility to make that decision during the year.
any other questions on the budget?
If not, I make a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2021 to 2022 budget with, that it includes the adjustments recommended by staff.
I think we need to read the whole.
I think we have to read the
Oh,
whole,
the whole thing, okay.
Do you
with
want
the tax rate.
Celeste, would
Sure.
you like to nominate somebody else to read it since you did the last one?
What part do we read?
It's on 55.
55.
You'll actually read all the way down to the signature line on this one.
I don't mind reading it, I can read fast unless somebody else would like to.
Excuse me?
Go ahead,
Okay,
Celeste.
I'll read, okay. Make a motion that we adopt resolution number 2020-2021-05, adopting the budget. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District hereby adopts the budget for the fiscal year 2021 to 2022 in the total amount of $4,368,917. The budget is now on file at District Offices 1140 Broadway in Seaside, Oregon. Making appropriations. Be it resolved that the amounts shown below are hereby appropriated for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021 for the following purposes. General Fund, Administrative Services, $569,135. Maintenance Services, $324,724. Aquatic Services, $610,624. Recreation Services, $101,366. Youth Program Services, $518,138. Community Center Services, $130,724. Special Event Services, $98,089. Debt Service 0. Transfers, $443,024. $2,824, contingency $50,000 for a total under the general fund of $2,845,824. In the capital fund, personnel $0, capital outlay $279,400, debt service $0, contingency $0 for a total of $279,400 in the capital fund. Under the Sunset Recreation Center Fund, personnel $4,602, material and supplies $209,400, capital outlay $75,000, debt service $175,269, contingency $10,000 for a total of $474,271 for Sunset Recreation Center Fund. Under the Broadway Field Fund, personnel $13,806, materials and supplies $17,000, capital outlay $0, debt service $0, contingency $0, for a total of $30,806 under the Broadway Field Fund. Total appropriation of all funds totals $3,630,301. Total unappropriated and reserve amounts, all funds, $738,616. For a total adopted budget of $4,368,917. Imposing the tax, be it resolved that the following ad valorem property taxes are hereby imposed upon the assessed value of all taxable property within the district for tax year 2021 to 2022 at the rate of 0.9280 per $1,000 of assessed value for permanent rate tax. Categorizing the tax, be it resolved that the taxes imposed are hereby categorized for the purposes of Title 11, Section 11B as subject to the general government limitation, a permanent rate tax of $0.9280 of every $1,000. The above resolution statements were approved and declared adopted on June 22nd, 2021.
Thank you, Celeste. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify aye, opposed nay. Celeste?
Aye.
Sue? Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Good job, Celeste. Review of Clatsop County election results and timeline.
Yeah, thank you for your work with the budget and supplemental. And also want to thank, there he is, Marcus, our finance and admin manager, for his help. Moving on to the election results. So we did receive the election results from Clatsop County. It appears that the results that have been shown on their website held. Excited to work with the four of you that are here, as well as Erica moving forward. Just wanted to share that I have verified those results and signed and dated this form and sent it back to the county clerk. And looking forward to swearing you all in next month. So I think the process will be maybe I'll swear Catherine in, and then she'll swear the other four directors in. But if there's another process that you'd like to see, please let me know.
I think that will work.
Okay.
Thank you, Skylar.
You're welcome.
Proposal from Northwest Regional Education Service District, discussion and adoption. And that was on page 73, or also, I think you printed a copy, didn't you? No, I just printed a copy.
Yeah, I have additional copies of the lease agreement, but things have moved right along with working with Northwest Regional since our last meeting and discussion. I think we're in a really good place, having negotiated some of the finer details of the agreement, as well as the timing and cost per square foot. I guess to summarize from the staff's perspective, we feel very comfortable moving forward and working with this organization. And the space that they have requested is space that we are not currently using for the most part. I think that it will provide some financial bolstering to the district budget or to the SRC budget, depending on how we want to use those funds will be maybe played out over the next few months. But it gives us some options, as well as just kind of aligning with a great partner in the community, someone that's committed to serving the youth of our community and helping provide those important services as we are also. So really hoping to ensure that the board provides their approval for me to sign this agreement when it is finalized. Go ahead.
Last we had spoken regarding this, they were going to present this to their board last Tuesday. Do you know if that took place?
They did, yeah, and that was a successful conversation. Their board is excited about the partnership as well and feels
Okay.
like it's a great fit for their Clatsop County services.
And then I apologize, I have not had a chance to read what you sent out this morning.
That's okay.
Um,
It's just a few small updates on the lease agreement and some details that have been added in.
Have they, because they were going to do their own environmental study, have they had a chance to complete that?
I don't think that they have had a chance, but I know that they have authorized the work to be done. So I'm not sure the timing of when that will occur, but that's probably the last hurdle to cross, essentially,
Okay.
unless the board doesn't want to move forward.
And then there was a recommendation from David, I believe it from Klosh Group?
Uh-huh.
I don't remember what it was, I apologize.
Yeah, he wanted us to adjust the insurance, some insurance things, as well as I think some other things in case of catastrophic weather or something
Right.
like that. So we've made those adjustments.
Okay.
And they were fine with.
Because I remember
those
reading
changes.
them and
Yeah.
appreciating his time and feedback on that. I thought it was a good perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, the good news is we've been able to share the agreement with a number of kind of folks just to get their insight on, and I think by and large, everybody agrees that it's a good partnership. It includes Klosh Group, it includes our insurance provider, the sports facilities advisory group that we're working with now, so.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think having the insurance give their thoughts too is a good
Yeah.
good idea. Any other questions, thoughts?
I think the lease agreement looks pretty good, and I appreciated David's comments on that too, and Celeste and I talked very briefly about it. I think you've got good protections in there for the district. I'm curious now, since we could not have budgeted this revenue, anticipated revenue, for next year. So how will this affect our budget as we go forward, start the next fiscal year in July?
Yeah, I think we were already preparing that we would need at least one supplemental budget at some point, probably earlier in the fiscal year.
Marcus is getting really good at those.
And this would just, I guess, be another
Another one.
dimension to add into that supplemental budget.
Yeah. I guess they'll come along as they do.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you.
yep, no problem.
Sue? Go ahead.
Yes, I have two questions. So I'm not loud enough. How could that be?
Well, it helps
It-
for
it
helps
just
for
helps
the,
Mike.
I know, but it's
For our
still.
at-home viewers.
So my first question is about the accessibility of the building. That is still going to be open to all of us, both the front entrance and the side, even though they'll be renting?
Correct. So right now, the building, I don't know if I would say that it's open to all of us right now. I mean, the doors are always locked. We open the building for when we have guests or rentals that we know about, and we also open it for the parents that come and drop off, their children. They'll have access to the building, probably keys, but we at this point, we don't plan on just having the building be open. They are planning on using that entrance on the southwest corner, and they'll come in through the building, and then they'll go to their workspaces or their rooms that they're working in. And they understand that that space, that hallway space in that entrance area is kind of shared space between the district's purposes and their purposes, and they're very comfortable with that.
Because the second part of my question has to do with the discussion of, during our rainy season, basically a walking track
Yeah.
in that hallway would still be accessible, correct?
Yeah, it would still be accessible, yeah. And the other kind of other good thing is, I mean, they're aware of those goals that we have, and I think they're in support of improving community health and that kind of access. There's other loops that we could do. There's a smaller loop kind of on the north end that we could do as a walking circle. It wouldn't be 1/6 of a mile, but it provides some space for folks to walk. So I think there's good opportunity for partnership moving forward, kind of working out. We know there's probably going to be some needs as we move forward, but they've been a great partner to work with.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Something that kind of became apparent last Wednesday was the very, very successful opening of the farmer's market. It designated parking.
Correct.
So have they indicated at all how many parking spaces they may need?
Yeah, that's been an ongoing discussion. I know our staff has had concerns about how the parking will be impacted. They are not in favor of adding a parking amendment to this or a parking condition or clause, and I think it's for a couple reasons. One is that they don't know how many of their staff are actually going to be working in the building, especially early on in the lease agreement, as it sounds like they're kind of revamping some of their resources and the opportunities available. They also just didn't feel like it was necessary, and I kind of agree. By and large, for the most part, there's plenty of parking there. The only exceptions would be when we have the market or other special events, and they're aware of the ongoing market every Wednesday, and we'll encourage them, as we encourage our own staff on those days, to park either along Broadway or in the Broadway field pool lot. The other thing that I think complicated our parking on Wednesday was we didn't quite have our system down for the vendors to park, and so a lot of the vendors were occupying some of those spots, and I think starting tomorrow, the vendors are going to park in a designated area that's only for them, so that will hopefully kind of ease some of the parking challenges.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I tried to pick up my kids on that day and it was like, oh, right, this is going to be a challenge.
Yeah. In some ways, it's a good problem, but I know it's not
Yeah.
convenient for drop off and pick up and employees as well. But it's always good when you have people drive by and there's a big crowd and
Yeah,
lots of
no, it
cars
was
and music
perfect.
and stuff like that.
Any other questions? Celeste, anything? No? Would we like to move forward? If so, do we have a motion?
I'd like to move that we adopt this lease agreement with the Northwest Regional Educational Service District.
I second.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify aye, opposed nay. Celeste?
Aye?
Sue?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I'm looking forward to that partnership.
Thank you.
Anchor Christian Academy proposal for SRC equipment, discussion and potential adoption.
Okay, so based on the feedback and the great discussion that we had last month, staff worked to brainstorm a way to make opportunities to acquire some of the leftover furniture, classroom equipment more equitable to the community. So we created a new page on our website to show a little bit more information about what might be available and how to get more information. We've had just one person so far take advantage of that. And then we haven't publicized the website or the opportunity using our marketing channels because I wanted to wait until the board had an opportunity to discuss tonight. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to look at this site. Again, I'll repeat that there's a lot of stuff there, and it's our perspective, especially as we're losing some of that storage space where we've had those items stored, it could be a cost saving for the district to relocate some of those things, especially to an appropriate space like another education provider. I'm hoping that the way that we've laid this out kind of alleviates some of those concerns that the board had. But if there's other links that we can go to make sure that people know about this, and again, oh sorry, I should have elaborated. So the process would be that requester would send an email to the info@sunsetempire.com email address, and then staff would work to sort of ascertain what exactly they were requesting, how much and when, and all those kinds of details. And then we would bring that information back to the board. So the board would have the final authority on saying yes or no to all of those, big or small. But again, I feel like it's a good opportunity for us to provide something in the community, evaluate the request on a case-by-case basis based on what exactly. I mean, even this academy that requested some items, we said no to a number of things that they requested, and kind of went back and forth a little bit just because we have anticipated needs for those things, or they're in really good repair, and we could foresee using some of them. So open to discussion or further feedback if there's other changes we can make to make this available.
So are we expecting the academy to make some kind of offer of a donation that we would consider?
I could approach them and
Or
ask
would-
them. There
or
hasn't
would-
been any
would staff
discussion.
manage that?
There hasn't been any discussion of that, but I would be open to offering or to suggesting that if the board feels so inclined. I know very little about their school.
Or I'm referring to your memo, to authorize this donation request. It's their request for us to donate to them.
Yes.
Correct.
So we're not expecting any donation or anything like that?
I'm not from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the two kind of main discussion points that we had on this topic last time were, are the items that we would be giving away something that we could potentially sell that could then fund scholarships or repairs or things like that? And then also, how do we ensure, if we are truly just giving things away, how do we ensure the equity? And I appreciate the work that you have done to create this channel, but it still doesn't quite, like, we don't know what our, Joe Schmo comes off the street and says, well, I hear you've got a bunch of tables and chairs. How do we assess, like, okay, well, he's, worthy of donation, but they're not.
Sure.
Those are my thoughts. And I do understand where you're coming from, and I truly get the work that you put into this. I'm just trying to cover the district in the event that-
Yeah, I agree. And how do you, like, somebody coming off the street and then turning around and selling donated product, for instance? That would not be a great look. I'm actually wondering, in order to not take up a ton of staff time, this might be a really good community volunteer kind of project to help actually inventory some of these things and hold, and I'm just wondering if you had a process, even if it included making available during the Wednesday,
Farmers
Wednesday market. But having a community garage sale that we run maybe 3 weeks or something like that, to pick up a certain amount of time that we offer things for sale. And then we open up requests for donations for a 30-day period. And then, and that way we can process requests all at the same time using some sort of matrix, right? Like a scoring matrix to ensure that we're actually doing it over that 30-day period. And then I say once we do that kind of due process, then we can take walk-in requests after that. Like if we've tried to sell it, we also did a 30-day period where we allowed community partners to come in and bid for products that they wanted. Then after that, I think could be up for, then to me, I have less concern about whether or not stuff is up for grabs when people come in. I do wonder that some of these items, I'm a little surprised. I mean, I love that you have this up on the website, the inventoried items. But for instance, I was surprised that we would offer up a pottery kiln when we have a ceramics
Yeah, I think we were just
program
saying,
already?
These are the items that were left
Were
behind.
left there, yeah.
Now we have two, so it's,
Yeah.
I think it's possible that
I
we may
mean-
not need to in the future.
Gotcha.
Not sure how that will play out.
Just as a throwing it out there, I know that the Pacifica projects have been reinstated.
Uh-huh.
So
Ah.
if we needed
Great idea.
I could have the coordinator reach out, and maybe they could take this on as their Pacifica project.
It'd be really interesting. Yeah, I
Be
think
great.
for,
Could
I
set
mean,
up
it'd
a-
take,
Wow.
you know, obviously the right kind of organized student, but, I think that'd be appropriate.
Or group of students, a couple,
Yeah.
a team of
Sure.
students could work and inventory those items and take photos of stuff. And I mean, I think that's a fabulous idea. And
Yeah.
they could raise quite a bit of funds for scholarships.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Pacifica's next, they'll start generally, they aren't organized to get it going right this minute. This Anchor Christian Academy, how quickly did they need things?
Well, to be honest, they were hoping for the items at the end of their school year, which concluded, I think, about a month ago. And then they wanted them in that timeline, ideally, so that they could prepare their classrooms for the next school year. I don't think they have summer school, it doesn't sound like. So they're hoping for them sooner than later, but they've been fine partners to work with, and I think they understand this is new for us, and there might be some kind of figuring it out, how it works. And I never made them, you know, promises when they presented their request, because I didn't know how this was gonna play out.
Yeah.
I mean, we've
I-
never had 14 classrooms of tables and chairs and desks and whiteboards and lockers and all those kinds of things that are there.
I want you to know that I truly do appreciate you working with them, and I
Sure.
can definitely see, you know, giving these items to these kinds of partners that, you know, could really use them and,
Yeah.
and see them go to good use in the community. I just want to make sure that our process, you know, is the best one for us to get that to the appropriate people.
No, I understand. I
Well,
think that the suggestion, I think, of the timing of that, I think I like that a lot too, and it makes a lot of sense. Just remembering, I have a nephew that's gonna be senior. Maybe he needs a project.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah.
And I will just say, I know that this community has a large garage sailing population, and there may be some people, I like the Pacifica idea or youth idea a lot, but as a backup to that, we might have community volunteers that are master garage sailors.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Well, the other thing just to mention is when we went to the January special district conferences, there is a company that was part of the booths, if you will, that's dedicated to taking equipment that is left over from something like this and taking it off your hands, but it comes at a cost. So there is
Well, and, you know, rather than us pay somebody to take these items, I definitely think there is a need in the community for a lot of this stuff. So before we go down that route, I would definitely rather see these items go to someplace like this than
Yeah,
pay to have them scrapped or resold.
I agree. I think Celeste's idea of a 30-day period for this and 30-day period for that, I think the timeline is not going to be very efficient for us. I think this stuff is in the way of the Educational Service District moving in. A lot of it is in the spaces they want. I know the stuff for the Anchor Academy is already stacked in the hallway with labeled and ready to go out the door, at least the last time I was in the building. It would be great to get some compensation or a donation to the foundation for some of these things, but they need to go away. You know, I don't know if a truck from Goodwill would pick them up and take them to Portland or what. But and there are a few interesting items there, the kettle drums and the musical instruments and the telescope, and incredible things to be abandoned. But I think the timeline is important on how we make these things go away. I have no problem with them going to the Anchor Academy, even though they're out of the district, but we've given things away to Helping Hands already, and those things went out of the district. So I'm all for expediting and cleaning up the spaces. In fact, we'll get more done sooner with renovation if they go away.
Are you okay, Mike, if it takes a little bit longer, though, the process?
Well, if it takes longer, that's fine, but I wouldn't want to see this inventory get in the way of
The
you know,
Northwest.
of the spaces that we've just leased out.
Right. I think that's
And
absolutely fair.
Staff will have to double handle everything. Every time we touch the stuff, it's costing us money.
Go ahead.
Anyway, that's my position.
I suppose, I think that, I am concerned about, the appearance of us giving away items when we've just made this purchase, and worried about, the interpretation of what that means.
Yeah.
Given our fiduciary oversight duties, and I do feel like having a process down, I understand the need to shorten it, which is why I recommended these short little timelines, so that we know what the end date is. I think makes it not just hang out there, that the stuff's gonna stick around for the next year. It lets us have a game plan, but I do think we should stick to a protocol to ensure that we're taking care of our fiduciary oversight, and that, to ensure that we're equitably offering out to the community.
I understand that. I appreciate that. And I feel that way too, that we need to do it in the right way. But apparently, you know, we weren't responsible for any capital outlay to buy these things. The school district abandoned them. We didn't have it in the sale agreement to clean out those things, which would have probably been helpful. But I just don't want to see us get encumbered in a way to interfere with our consultants and our, you know, lessees coming in there and using the spaces. But I understand that we need to do it correctly, and unless we've been advised otherwise, we could give it away.
I
As far as
feel
can
like
tell.
2 months in the long run of this building is probably not too much, you know.
Well, if Scott is okay with it, if it's not too much for him, then I will abide by it. But I just think there's an impact on staff.
It's, most of the items have already kind of been sorted, and
Items in the classrooms?
yeah.
They have been. Now we're kind of, I mean, we've cleared out one room already, and we'll be clearing out the other rooms that they requested. I think there's definitely still, I mean, there's a number of classrooms that don't have anything in them still, so we can figure it out. It is, you know, there's just a lot of stuff. It's not really, I don't know if there's any way we could do it where it just didn't take staff time to move items around. It doesn't matter. I don't think necessarily how we do it. We have gone through and inventoried and kind of assessed what might be of most value to the district and to other folks, and and then we have rooms that are just kind of, this probably isn't very valuable, so.
If
ahead.
you, well, I was just gonna think, you know, if you need to move things from one room to the other to prepare for the lease, you know, maybe we can arrange like volunteer, like I'm happy to come in on a weekend and move stuff around.
Yeah, I'm wondering if sort of our order of things could be to check with the school about Pacifica projects first, to see if that is a resource that might be available to us, because
Sure.
that's a ready pool of volunteers perhaps to help us, and some young, strong, energetic folks to move stuff around.
Yeah.
And short of that, perhaps you could communicate to the board if that is not feasible to rely on that, because I would also like to help recruit other volunteers to help on that. I also think it could be sort of fun to open up and have a hallway garage sale
Yeah.
at Broadway. It could be a fun community kind of service event, and get people into the school and see, or into the Sunset Recreation Center to see
Yeah.
what it's about. And I know a lot of people have a lot of memories of some of the items. Might be willing to.
Okay. Can I just throw out a suggested timeline that maybe that 30-day period might be, you know, August 1st to August 30th or something like that, and then the donation period to follow would be in September? Does that sound reasonable? That gives me
Sounds
a couple
great.
couple
Yeah.
of weeks to maybe work on Pacifica or finding another volunteer group to help with this. And
I would almost say that I mean, I would almost even think we could push it up because I can talk with Jeff tomorrow, and you know we're only there through July, so you would know pretty quick whether or not.
Yeah. Sure. Why don't you, if you can get back to me,
Yeah.
that'd be great. And I think my timeline was just kind of wanting to find enough time so we can market, garage sale type
Oh, yeah.
events.
Yeah, yeah,
Take
yeah.
advantage of farmer's market. We have a couple other events going on over the next month or two that we have
Yeah.
staff kind of dedicated to those things, and we'll need to pull them, a little bit from areas to help with other things. So,
I think that's a great timeline.
okay. All right, I appreciate the
I'd be
feedback.
willing to help with the garage sale, if you needed bodies,
That's great.
Yep.
Okay.
Just do not, whatever you do not let my wife take another file cabinet home.
Okay. Mike, she might be watching. So hopefully you're not in trouble when you get home. Yeah. Thank you.
If she is,
Thanks,
she's
Skylar.
probably laughing.
Moving on, public safety request for Broadway crosswalk that we had, and I know that you had a good discussion with Kathy Klezak.
Yeah. I think Kathy's here still, which is awesome. Very helpful resource. She shared a lot of information. We had a good discussion with her and myself and Levi. She reiterated in a follow-up conversation that, this is going to kind of be one of those things where improvements can be made, but they're going to need to be with, partnership from the city, especially as you consider the crosswalk improves the access and vice versa to and from the library. So I kind of presented some of the suggestions or thoughts that Kathy had seen to be effective, and I think they're really great. I really particularly like the first one, not only because it's perhaps the least expensive strategy, but also I think having the art in the crosswalk area, and Kathy suggested maybe once a year it's kind of refreshed art, or we bring in something new, and she provided some anecdotal experiences of other areas where that has been really effective at kind of slowing people down and making them realize this is an area where there's pedestrian traffic and children and those kind of things.
I was wondering, is that the illusion, but the kids, somebody paints, like some sort of diagonal, and it looks like you're gonna go over something, and it makes them slow down? Is that the art you're talking about?
That is a whole different thing.
Oh.
This would be an actual art project, so you could have contests and, do it with kids. It would require a lot of cooperation from the city, so it would slow it down to a specified period of time so it gets done and then draw. But there are special paints that are, used for that kind of thing, and we would really great community project.
That could be another Pacifica project. I'm just knocking
Sure.
it out of the park for them.
Do you have artists that are graduating next year, or anybody that's interested in
We
art?
could get the kids with crossing guards, bring back crossing guards.
Yeah. No, I thought this first one was very interesting. Just the widening the crosswalk, and truly understand that all of this, has to be done in partnership with the city. But I'm hopeful that they would be willing to discuss these options and, improve the safety there, because I do think it's an issue.
Yeah, I think, I remember Tracy McDonald's comment at our budget meeting, and I was looking at the speed limit signs, and they vary. One of them says speed limit 20 miles an hour, school yet, and then the other one just says speed 20 miles an hour. And it was a comment that it was unenforceable unless it said speed limit on the signage. But I would be up for keeping a 20-mile speed limit all along Broadway by the park. I would do it on Roosevelt if we could get away with it. But I think all the parks should be 20-mile-an-hour speed zone.
So I agree. I like all of these suggestions. I think they're fantastic, and I think we may have to think ahead, because I think eventually we may need it further down Broadway as the SRC comes into use more. We're going to have more traffic across just the Safeway complex and McDonald's and all of that
Sure.
from the SRC itself, I think. But what would be helpful from us in order to implement the partnership or permissions from the city?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I think just general support right now, if there's
Okay.
relationships that you have with elected officials on the Transportation Committee, which I think Kathy serves on. I'm not sure if this would have to go through Planning Committee.
No, it has to go through public works is the big one, and
Yeah.
then the city and the library.
Yeah. And then just a little bit of patience as we work through what this might look like. We're not, not having done this before, it's a little bit new, but kind of coordinating some of these things and trying to lay out a timeline. I think it sounds kind of fun. Sounds like a fun project and could really improve, like I said, the safety of that area.
So I don't know how to ask this question. So what I was thinking was about the art and what I've heard about, people painting, instead of like installing a speed bump, they paint a diagonal that makes people go, whoa, and they slow down.
Sure.
Is that anything
So I
the
think
city
what
might be
Kathy
looking
was
at?
saying was that could be an option. Maybe that's pursued instead of the art, or maybe we try the art and see if it helps with the issue. I'm not sure. I guess I haven't asked Kathy, and maybe she can elaborate if those speed bump, fake outs, if they work. It seems to me that most people that travel that street probably would figure it out pretty quickly that there's
Yeah.
not actually a speed bump, and maybe their speed wouldn't actually change. I don't know. There may be some research that can show. Yeah. Yeah, we did have a great discussion about adding speed bumps or adding other things, but we have to be really, I think, aware that our emergency vehicles, our fire department uses that road to get to a number of our citizens in our district as well as the hospital, and so we probably don't want to add something that might impede their vehicles in some way.
I was, looking at this list more of okay, let's start with the first one and see if that was enough to make a difference, and then, okay, that didn't work, let's add the next one, and, kind of a progressive.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of how I wanted to lay it out, so I'm glad you got that impression.
Yeah.
Well, I think that really the first step is sitting down at the table with experts from the library and say, look out in the city and say, hey, we'd like to talk about this.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do. Here's our ideas.
And Kathy from the Transportation Board.
I will tell you, particularly for the parking space removal, even if it's just the parking spaces direct closest, as somebody who travels that street daily to get home, it does make it really tough when there are big vehicles parked there. You do not see people standing on the curb, and you can't see little kids
Yeah,
Yeah.
until they enter into the roadway.
yeah.
And while that would be, sad to lose those parking spaces, that would make a huge difference in
Right.
visibility.
Sure.
But yeah, I think, you definitely have our support to kind of open that dialogue, and if it comes down to maybe those partners want to come, have a session with the
Right.
board, I think we're definitely open to that.
Okay,
And-
sounds
but-
great.
I'm also wondering, did you look at, because right now, it's not such a big deal, but for wintertime, did you look at any kind of lighting solutions, or was that something that was discussed?
Lighting? Is that what you said?
Lighting, yeah.
We didn't discuss that. Oh, yeah, the radar. Yeah, so
Have some lights?
she sent me examples of different signage, and a lot of them, have
Have
lights
lighting?
and
Okay.
things like that.
Okay.
My sense was that those would probably require a more significant investment from either the city or the district. And so I guess I'm kind of hoping to proceed maybe on an intermediate step or two before we get to that if necessary.
I'm still down for push button, blinky, flashy lights.
Yeah, as soon as you make that $40,000
yeah.
donation.
Yeah,
we'll
sure.
Get that going.
I'll fundraise.
Garage sale.
There you go. Well, thank you everybody, I'm sorry I wasn't there for that meeting, but I'm super appreciative of your time on that, because I
Maybe
value
we could get a
that.
transportation grant to do the flashing lights. I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Moving on, new business. I saw there was a request in here to approve Redetta Castle as a foundation board member. Did everybody have a chance to look that over? Any discussion, questions?
Redetta's here, so
Good.
I guess
Hi,
I
Redetta.
appreciate
We
her
should have
time.
moved her up to the head of the agenda.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you for volunteering to serve on the board. It's greatly appreciated.
Do we have a motion?
Oh, I definitely motion that Redata be appointed to the foundation.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sue. All in favor signify aye, opposed nay. Celeste?
Big I.
Sue? Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much for volunteering. We truly appreciate it. SEPRD COVID protocols discussion and direction.
Okay, if I can, I bring this to the board again, only because in the past couple of weeks, for lots of different reasons, as I'm sure you can imagine, there's been a number of, I guess, the frequency and intensity of some challenging conversations with some of our patrons has increased. Lots of our patrons have expressed a desire to not wear masks anymore, to go back to our normal schedule and the way that the Sunset Pool worked, to be able to swim for longer, spend longer periods of time in the locker room. Essentially what I guess I'm bringing to the board is an opportunity to discuss this, ask questions of staff, and I want to share my opinions, but I prefer waiting until after you share yours, because I don't want to influence you. But if you have questions or thoughts about our current status and when to potentially transition out of that status, I'm happy to hear them. And I know you adopted a motion to keep our current protocols in place, so that's still valid. But if you want to change that or keep that in place, I think this is an appropriate time to discuss that as well.
So my opinion is that, as far as I know, except maybe Sue to a certain extent, none of us are health professionals or experts on COVID and the continued or ongoing risk to health professionals, and so we should be guided by those folks who are, and that our policies and practices should align with recommendations from the experts. And I would maintain that we should continue to do that and not change policy and practice or have it be guided by personal opinion.
I also noticed that our county cases are going back up.
And right now with the Delta variant, and we know, all of us probably know people who are not vaccinated and are relying on herd immunity. We have not made that yet, but we are close. There continue to be vaccination clinics. I think everyone is just tired of wearing the mask. And I personally sang at a funeral the other day, just Saturday, without a mask. It was amazing, but at the same time, you wonder how safe, with this new variant coming in, because people are unwilling to take a shot. And so I think we're so close to the end. It's just a good reminder to say, hang on a little bit longer. But I think it would be nice to, I'm starting to hear some things, because I was wearing a face shield in the water because we're singing in the arthritis class. And I was told, take that silly thing off. And I said, not yet, eventually. And I don't mind if someone thinks it's silly. I just want people to be safe. However, it is interesting that you go to a church and you can sing without a mask. And so I think people are seeing the double messages, and they're being tired of it. I think right now we need to just hold a little bit longer and follow the CDC guidelines. And that the release is coming. It's just people aren't getting their shots fast enough.
I'm
Yeah.
one,
Go ahead.
I'm wondering, for kind of a, like maybe a middle ground, is it possible to add any, hours? Like, could we stay open later, open earlier, add a weekend day, or?
Yeah, we definitely can, and I think that's part of this discussion as well. We limited our hours over the past year, and that was partly because, significantly because of COVID, but also because, we had a number of staff that, weren't comfortable returning to work over the past year, and we still have a few staff that aren't interested in working right now. We could definitely look at that. I think what we've found financially is that in terms of revenue generation, less is probably actually more because when we're open on the weekends or extended hours, we don't often serve the significant quantity of folks and we don't have revenue generating programs, but that's part of what we do. So I don't think that's the only consideration, but just something to think about.
I'm just thinking maybe that could be kind of a let's meet in the middle,
Sure.
kind of a gesture to like, okay, we hear you and we understand, can we offer just, maybe we don't offer a whole day on a weekend, but can we offer
Sure.
half a day to kind of, I don't know.
Okay, I appreciate that recommendation, yeah, or that.
I'm in favor of staying conservative on the side of the CDC guidelines. I see the governor has a goal of opening up the state once we can surpass 70% vaccination rate. I see on the news this morning we're at 68.7% in Oregon. I think we should be patient and not let the politics and personal opinions and preferences, drive the equation. I think it's better for our risk management and, protecting the district as well.
So what are your thoughts now that you've heard ours?
I agree with what I'm feeling is a sentiment from the board. I think we should err on the side of caution, particularly since it's difficult. We serve a lot of vulnerable people, and it puts staff, I feel, in a precarious position. Technically, by the way that we've read the guidance, you're still required to wear a mask indoors unless you're vaccinated, and I think it puts our staff in a difficult position of having to work with patrons to verify that vaccination, and I'm sure there's lots of stories floating around about difficult conversations. So I do like the Saturday or the Sunday opening on the weekends, or maybe opening extended hours later, and maybe we could try a schedule. Let's say we open on Saturday for 4 or 5 hours, a schedule where we didn't have the reservation time, so a patron could come and get their extended pool workout, or could take their time in the locker room a little bit more. I'll have to talk to our staff to see if that's feasible, but I think that's a good step. I think as we reach that 70% plateau, or hopefully over the next month or few weeks, we'll look to kind of maybe roll back some of these changes or modify our schedule. But what I was really hoping for is confirmation from the board that they like to keep our current practices in place and support. And I honestly had expected maybe a couple of the members of the public that we've had hard conversations with to maybe be here tonight and express their opinions, but so be it.
I think it's asking a lot of staff to kind of keep track of who's vaccinated and who's not, and who's coming and who's going, and I've just at this point I feel like it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
So I appreciate all that staff does on the front line to keep everybody safe.
Okay.
I actually had a conversation, just an impromptu conversation this morning where I think I'm going to keep, a face shield because it protects me because of my healthcare vulnerabilities. So I think we may see people choosing to do certain things. I mean, as a nurse, I hope people continue to do their hand washing. I mean, how many people have had the flu this year or been sick? We're healthier
Yeah.
because of the precautions. And yes, we've had a pandemic, but as a nurse, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the fact that people have learned to wash their hands. Please continue, no matter what.
My oldest daughter was giving me lessons the other day because she felt that I did not scrub long enough.
And my daughter said, "Mom, you taught me how to wash my hands. You bet I know how to." And I thought, yay. So anyway, I think that we're going to see modifications that continue post-pandemic, but right now, I appreciate just being careful.
Yeah.
And I, 60, what did you say, 69.7%? 68.7. I mean, we're so close. Yeah.
We are close. And I actually had an interesting Father's Day. I was treated to a trip to McMiniman's at the Grand Lodge in Forest Grove, and for a spa, hot tub and everything. And to use the spa required me showing my vaccination card and my driver's license and everything, but they wanted to see the vaccination cards at McMiniman's.
Yeah.
To use the spa. I'm okay with that.
Great.
All
Thank
right.
you. Appreciate your input.
Thanks, Skylar.
Hopefully we'll be out of some of this soon.
SEPRD board meeting format and availability. I know this is the time of year where we kind of look over our meetings for the next year.
Yeah, so I guess I was planning on having that larger discussion maybe in July, especially with Erica not here. But what I do want to share with the board is that there's legislation. There was legislation at the beginning of COVID that allowed municipalities, special districts like ours, to move their meetings to a virtual format because the law didn't allow for that. And now there's legislation that sort of clarifies what they're hoping will happen. And I think, I guess my interpretation of it is that for transparency purposes, a lot of cities, counties, special districts have made their meetings available online, and the state thinks that that's a great idea because it's more accessible to folks and more transparent. So I am just bringing this part of this discussion to the board to let them know that they have some options, I guess, for moving forward with their meetings. We're streaming, our meeting on YouTube tonight, but doing so requires obviously coordination with staff and some staff time, and it requires a specific location that has good sound and that capacity. So it's my presumption that the board would like to continue that as much as possible. But prior to COVID, I mean, we were met in the meeting room, and we did not show our meetings on YouTube. They were available, as part of a public record. But I think I just wanted clarification from the board about their hopes for the accessibility of our meetings, both live and then retrieving them moving forward.
I personally think that it's a great feature to be able to offer to the community and for accessibility. And I thank Darren and Adam for their assistance in that. I know that, they have to stay late to run the tech, but we do appreciate you.
Does everybody agree with that? Or is there any, I didn't know if there would be any contention. I just wanted to make sure.
No, I think that's a wonderful thing.
Okay.
I do think, I had mentioned to Darren after the last meeting, we might want to start investing some, because I don't think we plan on these being used as much as they are. And we might want to make sure we have enough for the entire budget process next
Sure.
year.
Sure. Okay. All right, and then I guess the only other option, or only other thing for consideration is everybody comfortable with us showing the video, or the video feed is available on YouTube Live and then for retrieval. Some other agencies use other platforms, but I feel like YouTube is working fine for us. Is everybody okay with that?
I haven't heard any complaints.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Okay. All right, that was it for that part of the discussion. And then, to touch back on what you were saying, I think in July,
next month.
we'll talk about meeting dates and make sure we're square on the 4th.
I just knew that was coming, so I just assumed that that's what that meant.
You are correct. Yep.
Executive Director report.
All right, so just a couple of things to share. We've been working on the SRC strategic plan with SFA and SEA. It's kind of, I don't know how that worked out with the acronyms, but we have a meeting tomorrow to talk a little bit further, and SFA is planning on actually coming here in July. And so I wanted to request that you reserve some time, July 12th through the 15th. I don't know exactly the schedule quite yet. That hasn't been firmed up, but I anticipate that if you're available, your opinions, your thoughts, your insight will be needed. As they'll be here, they're going to conduct several different kind of formats of community meetings, and also, I would imagine, some smaller group, kind of stakeholder group meetings during that time. I think things are proceeding really well with that, though, and I feel like we have some good momentum with the group. And I don't know if we were anticipating them to travel here, especially this quickly, but I think they feel like it's really important to be here and to see the project in person. And now that travel is a little easier than it was a couple months ago, it makes sense. The second item is just share that our 110% cost recovery class is still ongoing. We have a hopeful timeline of having some of that information kind of wrapped up within the next month or two. With vacations and things like that, work is a little bit delayed, but it's still on pace to finish. And I think it'll be really helpful information, and I'm going to think of a way to maybe share that information back to the board. I'm not sure exactly how that will go, but I'll keep you posted on that. And then the last thing, just share updates about some events that we've had recently. We had our first farmers market last Wednesday, and it was terrific. Thanks to Melissa, but also to our farmers market staff, Anna and Angie. And I think Melissa shared we had about 700 plus, 733 participants or that's the word I'm looking for, patrons, and some 40 dogs-ish. Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
So it was great. We were able to bring back the live music through this wonderful grant from T-Mobile. So we'll have live music at all of the markets, and I'm looking forward to every Wednesday having the market in our own space now from 2 to 6. Come by, and I know there's actually lots of pretty good produce and stuff available early in the season as well as late. We also had our foundation golf tournament last Friday, the 18th, and that went really well. We had it at the Highlands. We had I think about 13 or 14 teams and good sponsorship, and it was sunny. Mike played, Erica played. We had a really good time. 2 events coming up besides the market that I wanted to highlight. We have the chalk art contest. That's part of the Prom Centennial events, and a really fun event that we are kind of building from the ground up because we've never done something like this before, but I think it's a cool way to highlight the prom and give people a chance to do some cool art on the prom. It'll be July 30th and 31st. It's $25 per person. Should be really, really fun. And then a couple weeks after that, we have our Break the Chain 5K. That'll be, oh golly, the 14th, the 13th? You remember the date? 14th of August. So that will almost conclude all of our prom events. Well, it will conclude our prom events up until Turkey Trot. So been really busy with special events. Thanks to Melissa for her work and her efforts and keeping us organized. And the other event, I didn't put it on the agenda because we were just finalizing the date and location and stuff like that, but we are going to be hosting the Stubby Lions Memorial Service on Saturday, July 17th at 11 a.m., and it's going to be at Broadway Field. So I've been working with a group of Stubby's close friends and his spouse, Sherry, to plan that, and I think it's going to be a really awesome experience to honor Stubby, which I guess we haven't really gotten a chance to do because he passed away on Christmas, and there's a lot going on around that time for most people, and not great weather, but be able to honor him outdoors at a venue that he spent a lot of time at on the field. So I think that's it. Lastly, I just wanted to make sure the board was aware that I'm going to be out of the office on starting Thursday for about a week. And I will try to not be checking email and stuff, but we're supposed to go to the Hawaiian Islands last summer, and it didn't work out, so we were scheduled for leaving on Thursday. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'll be back the day after the 4th of July on the 5th to work.
Can I ask 2 questions?
No.
Okay.
Of
So
course.
I just don't know what FEA, or FGA is,
FGA, where's that, sorry?
or FEA, is that what it is?
Oh, SFA and SEA? Is that what?
Well, isn't one Future Farmers?
Sports Facilities Advisors.
Sports Facilities Advisors is SFA. They're the ones that bid on our RFP for the strategic plan, and they they work with an architecture firm in Portland called SEA, which is Scott Edwards
Oh,
Architecture.
okay.
So it is kind of a lot for the old acronym tongue.
No, I wondered why the Future Farmers of America
Yeah.
were coming.
That would be cool.
Okay. I mean, and
Sunset Farmers.
remember that August 7th is the prom dedication.
Correct. Yes.
I
feel
got a
like we
nice
should do a-
invitation from the mayor.
Yeah. I feel like we should do a kite festival in there somewhere too. I think that'd be fun.
That would be cool. Yeah, I don't want to do that here.
I don't
Long
know.
Beach has it, but
Yeah,
we don't have it.
and Lincoln City, I think. But yeah.
We had the Seaside Sandcastle contest.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the Cannon Beach Sandcastle contest. Okay, upcoming calendar items. I'm sorry, were you finished, Skylar? Was
Hey,
that-
I'm
Okay.
finished. Sorry, thanks.
Upcoming calendar items, Seaside Farmers Market, Wednesdays, 2 to 6. And it was very well attended. It was a beautiful day, and my kids at the youth center got to go over and listen to the music, and they had a great time. So everybody should come join us for that. July 27th is the next board meeting. July 30th through 31st is the prom chalk art contest, and you can register where?
You can register at sunsetempire.com.
Okay.
Yeah, or call or come to the front desk. Just like all of our programs, it's in our point of sale software. So yeah,
Perfect.
come on by.
And our board meeting in August is on the 24th. Anything else anybody would like to add to that?
I got a question about
Yeah.
the chalk art. How large of an area will each artist or team get?
That's a great question. I think it's 4x4, but Melissa, you. Three by 5. Mike,
So,
you-
Mike, she's
Can't do
saying,
any of that.
I'm going to tell you. They're going to do rectangle sections of 3 by 5 from the areas of the turnaround down to First, because that was sections were smoother for doing art.
Yeah, I was
And-
wondering about that, because I know we've got exposed aggregate here and there, and the concrete varies, you know.
And so that would provide about 20 teams. So you can get out there and do your art.
And Mike, we need judges.
Oh, yes, you need, would you like to
So
judge?
if you or if you know someone that might want to judge, or if anybody else on the board wants to
I'm going to
serve-
sign up my girls and
serve as one
myself.
of a judge,
be
we'd
fun.
love to have
I've
you.
been paid to judge art in the past.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll pay you. We might get you a T-shirt or something, but
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I think you should reproduce in chalk your salmon mosaic.
You know, I was talking to my wife, I said, well, why don't we enter that, and then we'll do a replica of the salmon mosaic on the prom, you know.
There you go.
I need a team, though. Maybe Celeste would be on the team.
All right. Executive session. Do we have a motion to move to executive session?
I'll read that motion. I
Go ahead,
move we
Mike.
Go into executive session with the Board of Directors for pursuant to ORIS 192.660 to item I, to
H.
consult with counsel,
H.
item H, yes, excuse me, to consult with the council concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed.
Do we have a second? Thank you. All in favor signify aye. Opposed,
Aye.
nay.
Aye.
Sue? Aye. Aye. We are now in executive session. We will hope to be back by,
I think she said it would only probably take 5 to 10 minutes.
okay,
So
we'll say 7:15.
I think we've moved pretty efficiently through a lot of different things tonight. It's gone quickly, at least to me. Adam, are we rolling? Okay, great.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. Do we have a motion? Go ahead, Celeste.
I'd like to move to give our counsel, Eileen
Akins.
permission to release information for purposes to place her appeal with the American Bar Association,
I would just say maybe as discussed in executive
as discussed
session.
in executive session.
Do we have a second?
I would second.
Thank you, Sue. All in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. Celeste?
Aye?
Sue?
Aye.
Mike? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much. Board comment. Celeste?
So first of all, congratulations to fellow board members for your official election to the board. I'm very pleased to be able to serve another 4 years. Also, thank you to Skylar and staff for continuing to work on the partnership with Northwest Regional Education Service District. I'm looking forward to that partnership and what I think it will bring to the Sunset Recreation Center, and also looking forward to the continued discussions with SFA and SEA around the strategic planning for the SRC. I think that is super exciting and can't wait for those planning sessions to move forward.
Thank you, Celeste. Sue?
We had the pleasure of being there at the dedication of the Hirsch batting facility, and that was really a thrill. It was fun to, Skylar and I, among others, batted some balls, and that was, so unusual for me. But I just think that's another feather in the cap for the district, and it's nice to see that as the core and us promoting play. I wanted to also officially say, thank you for support. For number one, for being officially elected. I know RJ sent out an email like a month ago saying, I want to hear from you if you win or lose. And I thought, well, I haven't won, I haven't lost, so I haven't sent anything. But I wanted to simply say if there's anyone out there in the world listening after all this time, I mean, I'm very grateful to be elected. I'm very humbled, gratefully to be elected, and to be able to serve with the board that I appreciate moving toward progress. But in addition to that, I appreciate the number two, that people did vote, and number three, in regards to that we represent everyone in this district, and those that did not support us, those people are important to me, and I presume important to, I don't speak for others, important to the rest of us, because we engage the entire community, those that voted for us, those that didn't vote, those that voted for somebody else, and supporting, promoting programs for all. And so I hope that those people will in some way be engaged, in some way ask questions, continue to challenge us. I think that's an important thing, rather than just the election's over and we can go about our business. I think it's so important that we remain part of a public dialogue that allows people to feel that they're heard. And then I simply want to say thank you to the staff and to Skylar, who continue to promote a healthy atmosphere at the pool. And I know sometimes that's challenging, especially as people are starting to feel like it's time to be done with COVID. Hang on a little bit longer, but I am very grateful that the policies are in place at this time, even against the flow of just be done. And I thank you for continuing to do that.
Thank you, Sue. Mike?
I reiterate all the great things you guys have said about the election. And I appreciate each one of you as well. It's great to be back here. I wanted to bring up points about our IGAs and intergovernmental agreements. I appreciated the information about the appraisal process with the city on their corner property. I think this is a really important time, Skylar, to really pin down and review the IGA for the Broadway field. I really feel this has been an outstanding issue that's been unresolved for quite some time. And I know Eric and I talked about it briefly during the golf tournament. We were playing together, and she's been getting calls and complaints about some issues at Broadway Field. I don't know exactly what. But, and some of it, I think, has to do with areas where the city or the school district may be responsible. So I think it's real important for us, for the position of the district and the customer service perceptions, that we revisit the IGA for the Broadway field as soon as possible and pin it down. I really am regretful of what transpired during the time with Jeremy Mills and John Chapman ran through that limiting proposal that, you know, we could only spend $1,000 a month. And they wanted to totally retract our promise to the community, to the school district and the city, that we would contribute toward the replacement of that field when it was worn out. And so we were on the hook for about $200,000 with that agreement. I'm willing to revisit that, perhaps in some limited capacity. Things have moved on, and we have the SRC now. We have other obligations building up daily, and I think it's important that we maintain our agreements in a really firm and strong fashion, including the ones that we've made tonight with the Educational Service District. Anyway, that's all I need to say, but staff is doing a great job. Appreciate RJ being here.
Thanks, Mike. I would just like to say a couple thank yous. Thank you to Marcus for his extensive work on the budget and all the supplementals that we have had to produce this year, and the ones that are going to be upcoming. Sorry about that. Thank you to staff who are busy out there on the front lines providing excellent customer service in these challenging times, and that they continue to serve our many patrons. Thank you to the youth program staff that have, you know, been consistently providing excellent programming and a safe space for our kids to go and throughout all of this. Thank you to the maintenance staff for keeping our facilities up and running and clean. And thank you to the event staff for continuing to find creative and fun ways to provide these opportunities for our community to come and engage. And, you know, the farmers market, the prom 10K, these are all things that we've had to think outside the box, and I appreciate that. And thank you to Skylar for continuing to guide our ship through these crazy times. And I'm super excited to continue to serve on the board. I'm very passionate about this district, and I know everybody on this board is, and we all have a vision for where we think this district can go. And we're going to work really hard to make that happen and make that a reality. And I'm very proud to serve with every single one of you. So super excited to be able to say congratulations. And thank you so much for your time tonight. And with that, meeting adjourned.